Hello. Get up in here. Have a seat. Who is going to jump on the live? If you're catching me on YouTube, awesome. I'm Lisa Concepcion, and I'm with lovequestcoaching.com. And today I am talking about the common reasons why people are finding themselves stuck in toxic relationships that they know they should get out of or improve, and they don't know how, yet they still find themselves stuck. And as we know, when we are stuck in a situation that we are not feeling good in, we're doing a lot of damage to ourselves. We're doing a damage to our growth, our health even. And so when our inner being, divine inner being, in the heart space is telling us to go someplace else and we don't listen, we feel awful. So there are reasons for why we stay stuck. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that our egos are in control. So our egos are there to keep us safe, to keep us from danger. So the ego does serve a purpose, but the problem is that when we allow the ego to run our show in our relationships, it's probably because we are letting another version of ourselves, usually from our past, a past version of ourselves, run the show in our relationships. And that's when we do things such as, number one, we date the potential. We stay in the relationship for the potential of the person and not the actual person and the actions that they are showing us. So we have a vision in our mind of the person that we truly know that we're worthy of being with and the type of person that we want to be with. And the person that we are with presently is not that person, but we make excuses for them or we hold out. So I'll give you an example from my coaching practice. There's a woman, successful woman, and she was dating a guy who wasn't really earning a whole lot of money. And she has a business, a very successful business. And so she has to be very, very careful and prudent about who she is inviting into her space, into her mindset, into her space. Because the people that we date, the people that we're in relationship with are incredibly influential. So we have to be very, very careful about who we are allowing ourselves to let in that degree, in that level, on that level. So this person was with a man who didn't have a job, was in between careers. He was just kind of floating around and lingering around, but he was nice to her. He was the nice guy. And she thought, well, I make a lot of money, so who cares? But the problem is there's a mindset and a think that comes with that. So this guy didn't think anything of coming over her place at 10 o'clock at night because that was when she was available to see him because she worked so much. And just in that, it was inviting in a guy that didn't really have anywhere to go or anywhere to be. So one of the things that we coached around was her lifestyle. And we started to look at the kind of guy that she wants to attract. And was she living a life that was conducive to that kind of guy? So if she was living a life that basically had her working close to 12 hours per day, where the only available time she had to see a guy was from 9 p.m. until midnight, and then the guy would stay over, and then in the morning he would linger around because he didn't really have anywhere to go, but she had a full-on business to run. So she had to make some changes in her life so that she then would create a relationship and create space to invite in the kind of guy that she wants, which is somebody who is just like she is, successful, has purpose in the morning, gets up and knows where they're going to go and what they're going to do. So in order for her to create that life, she had to make some major alterations to how she was living her life in her own business. So while this focus on business type coaching, it also is a focus on your own life of how you allow space for that other person to come in. So this is just an example of how like this woman was settling for the potential of who this guy could potentially be if he got his job, if he got his stuff together. But yet she was the one paying for everything. She didn't really see him having direction, any kind of focus, any kind of forward momentum in her life, and she had to cut him loose. And she was very apprehensive about cutting him loose. And the reason why was because she had another version of herself calling all of the shots in her relationships. This was a younger version of herself who just thought it was cool to get attention, just to have companionship, somebody to hang out with. But it wasn't her adult self. It wasn't her mature adult self managing the relationship. She was coming at it from an alter ego, an egoic state of her being younger, of a younger self, where it didn't matter if a guy had money or not. It didn't matter if he had a livelihood, if he was stable in his career. It didn't matter, because she just wanted to have some fun. But that was a different version of herself who was dating this man and calling the shots. And so we often do that. We often are dating people or in relationships with people, but we're coming at them from a different version of ourselves. And unless we get that version of ourselves healed and handled and loved up on, and we make it clear to that other version of ourselves that we are in charge, we are running the show, we are picking the guy, not a version from 10 years ago, not a version of ourselves from 15 years old, where all you want to do is have fun. And there's a reason why you're choosing. You're the one choosing the guys, right? You're the one or the girls. You're the one choosing that. It's not you now. It's not your mature self now. It's an egoic version of yourself, a past version of yourself. So I see this all the time. I see this a lot with trauma. People who have gone through trauma, or they're currently in a relationship that is mirroring the relationship of their unfinished business that they need to sort out with a parent, let's say, or a past relationship that they never really got over. So that version of them is still calling the shots in the relationship. It's so important that we understand in all aspects of our life who is calling the shots, which version of us is showing up here. And when we see it and we're able to be with that version of ourselves and love them and make peace with them, that's when the breakthroughs happen. That's when you really start to get amazing control over your life and you start to just feel better. You feel better in your relationships. You feel better in your careers. You feel better because you, the adult, probably watching this right now, feels confident that you are calling the shots. That it isn't this other version of you making up stories in your head to make certain decisions in your love life, in your relationships, the kind of people you're entertaining, the kind of people you might even be chasing. You're not doing that anymore because you recognize, what am I doing? What version of me is anxious right now over this person? What version of me feels less than or inadequate or not enough because this person isn't paying attention to me? That's not the version of you now watching this video. It's another version of you, a past version of you who's hurt and needs healing and love. And when you learn how to give them that nurturing attention and love and forgiveness even, then you free up the space because you start calling the shots. You start making decisions for who you're going to entertain and what company you're going to keep. It's very, very important. So I wanted to jump on this live today because I am offering a program called Dating with Power and Purpose. And for the people out there also who are going through breakups, this is like perfect timing and perfect information for you too, because a lot of this has to do with letting go of past relationships and making peace with the version of who you were in that relationship, so that you and that version of you can align, that you can integrate and you can have compassion and love and self-forgiveness. And then you can process it and release it once and for all. Because if you don't, we repeat the same relationships over and over and over again. So that is a huge reason why people stay stuck in relationships, is because They are trying to sort out a trauma, fix a trauma, heal a trauma that this person that they attracted is only aggravating more, and they haven't done it for themselves yet. So the other thing that I find too is that people make excuses for the people that they are with, and they often relate it to time. So they'll say something like, I've been in this relationship for so long. It's been 4 years. It's been 3 years. It's been 2 years. Whatever the length of it is. It's this attitude like, I have this crappy stock and I can't get rid of it because then I'll lose all my money. So they hold on to this relationship. They hold on to the thing that is no longer serving them anymore. I don't know if anybody on this Facebook Live or in YouTube land has experienced staying in a relationship too soon because either A, you're dating or you're with the potential, you think you can fix them, you think you could be the positive influence on them that will change them, or you're making excuses because you've been with them for so long. And oh my God, if I was to give it up now, then it's a waste. That is the biggest trap that we find ourselves in. It's a normal way of thinking. It doesn't make it right. People waste a lot of precious time in long-term relationships with the wrong people, trying to fix them, trying to change them. And then it's a cycle that says, oh, I've been in this with this person for 2 years. I'm not going to get out of it now. I've already invested too much. So it's this attitude of investment. The bottom line is we invest in ourselves first. Our investment is with ourselves. And if our inner being is calling us outside of a relationship and we don't go, we feel awful. We feel awful inside that relationship. And then we try to make feeling good the other person's responsibility. And it is not the case. It is not. And it's a recipe for disaster, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of hurt, a lot of just a failed relationship. Because you're looking for the happiness to come from the other person. Oh, if they could only change this one little thing, if they only can do this different, if they only can be this way. And so you wait 6 months, a year, 2 years, 2.5 years, 4 years, waiting for someone to catch on to the potential that you see in them. And they don't see it in themselves. Or they do, but they don't take action. And they're complacent. And here you are trying to move forward in your life and trying to be successful and trying to do your business and trying to move things forward in your life. But they aren't on the same page. And they're complacent and they're lazy and they just want to kind of hang out and watch you do everything. And what are they doing? What are they bringing to the table? So these are really super important things that you need to consider when dating, when in a relationship, when considering and reevaluating a relationship. And there are definitely the things that keep us stuck in relationships for too long. So, number one, dating the potential and not the person. If you're doing this, you need to stop doing this. You need to look at what this person is about and be honest and really ask yourself, is this something that I can continue with and continue to be around? Is it good for me? Doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you selfish. You were in a relationship with somebody and you gave it a shot. And good for you for doing that. But if this relationship is not nurturing your growth anymore, you got to go. There's nothing wrong with that. Second thing is settling. Settling is a huge problem. People think that, they're alone, they're going to die alone, so let me just be with anybody. No, better to be alone than in bad company. Always better to be alone than in bad company because you're never alone. And it's really important that you get super clear about what you want. The kind of partner that you want. And a lot of people out there are not clear. So they're just entertaining anybody who comes along and gives them attention. And so there's something about that. And when you explore why that is, why are you just settling for anybody who turns your way? When you get to the root of what that's about, then you heal something incredibly profound and powerful within yourself. And the way you show up in relationships completely changes. It's amazing the way this happens. So then the final reason why people stay stuck in their relationships is because they're listening to the peanut gallery. They're not listening to themselves. They're listening to everybody else around them. They're listening to society, who says, oh, if you're not married by the time you're 30, or, oh, it's over with. Once you hit 45, you'll never really find love. They're listening to these ridiculous and untrue BS mantras that people in society are saying, and they buy into it. And so ask why. Why do you choose to believe this? So there's an expression: when you believe it, you will see it. When you believe it, you will see it. Whatever you believe, you're going to see more of. So if you believe that this is the best relationship that you can get, and that there isn't anybody else out there, or that you're alone and you're too old, or you're too damaged, whatever your too not enoughness is, and you believe that, you're going to continue to perpetuate and attract more that shows exactly that. It's going to make your belief true. But when you start to shift your beliefs and you start to heal some stuff within yourself, and you start to realize, hey, I meet great people all the time, and you start to change your language and start to change how you affirm and really what you see in the world, then what you see starts to change. What you attract starts to change. I see this happen in my practice all the time. And people make massive transformations in a short period of time. And by short, I'm talking 2 or 3 months, radically changing their language, changing their approach, the way that they handle themselves on dates, the questions that they ask, getting clear on what it is that they want. If they're in a relationship and the relationship isn't going anywhere, just like that client that I had talked about earlier, they cut them loose and they feel powerful. They feel like, whoa, like I was doing this for me. I was looking out for myself because this is something that isn't helping me. I had another client break up with a guy last week. She feels totally empowered. She realized after just 6 weeks, this person was not a fit for her. And she had to really stand in her power and say, you know what? It was great getting to know you. Amazing these last 6 weeks. Taught me a lot about myself. But I have to walk away. And the guy was shocked, but he was shocked at how quickly she came to it, but he wasn't surprised at the reasons. And he was even saying, basically begging her to be patient. And she was like, I don't have to. I don't have to. It doesn't make me a bad person to look out for what I want and to want what I want. And if I have myself together in these aspects of my life, I want to be with somebody who has themselves together in these aspects of life too. And if they don't, I don't want to date the potential. I don't want to look at somebody now thinking who they can become in 3 years with my help. I want to see who they are now, and that they're whole and healthy and treating me with kindness and respect, not some damaged guy. If you want a fixer-upper, turn on HGTV. Google home flipping. You do not flip people. Don't get in that habit. It's a terrible habit. I had another client. Her pattern was she dates guys for a year, 2 years. They break up with her, and the next person that they get in a relationship with, they end up marrying. It happened to her twice, and now she's scarred from it. So now she's like, oh, I'm the prepper. I'm the girl who preps the guy, teaches them about commitment, shows them what it could be like to be in a committed relationship, in a wife-husband situation. And then for whatever reason, they break up with me, and then they go on, and the very next person that they are with, they end up marrying. And it's devastating. And she's like, I'm devastated by it. She's 2 boyfriends that this happened to in the last 7 years, and she's still not over both of them. And meanwhile, these guys moved on. One of them's having a baby. The other one has a kid already. It's crazy. And she says, I have a great job. I'm an attractive woman, brain in my head. And because I'm still hung up on that situation, these things that happened back then, the version of who I was is calling the shots of who I'm dating and who I'm calling in. And she's so afraid that she doesn't know how to pick the right people. So she called me for help. And now we're getting her clear on what she wants for her life, the kind of person that she wants, and the early warning signs when it is not it. That's the other thing that keeps people in relationships too long, toxic relationships too long, is that you're not paying attention to the facts of what is and the red flags. You're ignoring them. And so you're not even sure if this is something I should be angry about. Is this something that how do I feel about this? I don't even know. You're not connected to yourself. So stuff happens in your relationship and you don't know how you're supposed to feel about it. You're not checking in with yourself. And you're not expressing yourself and communicating yourself clearly as to what flies with you and what doesn't and why. And so you feel like the only way to get more from your relationship is to give more and to prove your value and prove your worth. That is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for a downward spiral into low self-worth, low self-esteem, a lot of hurt and a lot of heartbreak. And I see this happening all the time in my practice. People come to me brokenhearted all the time, confused that they're in a relationship that is going nowhere, confused that the person that they love more than anything is abusive to them, or they're chasing them, they're trying to make it work, and they don't know what to do, and they feel completely alone. So I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. Your feelings are totally normal. However, the thing that you need to do is to return into yourself and get a firm, clear understanding as to what your motivations are in this relationship. What is keeping you in it? And when you dig around that and learn what that is, and then the way to transform it by loving up on yourself and by allowing that voice, the truth of who you are, the true voice to come out and make sense of it, that's when you will feel better. And that's when you will be empowered to be in successful relationships, and you'll attract totally different people. So I'm hopeful this helped you out. I'm Lisa Concepcion, certified professional love life coach, and you can find me at lovequestcoaching.com. Hope to connect with you soon. Bye.